social gains made by the PVPC government and continue to deceive the same people that voted for them by peddling lies and deceptive statements. These are the AFC liars, and you have seen them week after week on the Alliance on the Move program. However, it is now an indisputable fact that the combined opposition, APNU, and the PNC-controlled AFC is hell-bent on their political agenda to make this developing nation ungovernable and to herald its return to retrogression and anarchy. Nowhere else in a democratic society will anyone find such an arrogant, selfish, and destructive misuse of power by any opposition party. Since the 2011 elections, the AFC became the bride-in-waiting for the PNC-APNU. The AFC in Parliament began by cutting the 2012 budget, the 2013 budget, and the 2014 budget, and in so doing, they stymied many projects which could have propelled Guyana to greater heights in terms of social and economic development. They then approved the Amila Road, but they blocked the Amila Hydro Project. Then they refused to vote for the anti-money laundering bill, which again is vitally important. The AFC never cooperated with the government on any issues. The intention became clearer when they moved the no-confidence motion against the PVP government under the pretext that the $4.5 billion spent was illegal and it was not accounted for. Had they cooperated with the government, this country would have gone far ahead. But instead, they have now collated with the APNU and they intend to create havoc and push us back in terms of social and economic development. With me in the studio tonight are the former General Secretary of the Alliance for Change and ex-executive member, Mr. Sixtus Edwards, and former high-profile member of the AFC and immigration consultant, a very popular immigration consultant, Mr. Balwant Prasad. They are two among the many who have resigned from the AFC since 2012, and they will be revealing to you, the viewers, the corrupt practices, the cronyism, the lies, the deceit, and the barefaced stealing of donations by the so-called leaders of the AFC. Moreover, they will reveal how the AFC leaders have moved away from its founding principles, violated its own constitution, and have formed a coalition with PNC-APNU in their greed for power and money. So now I will introduce you to Mr. Balwant Prasad, who will deal with some of these corrupt practices that he has experienced and seen firsthand within the AFC. Mr. Prasad, over to you.
Good night, Berbicians and fellow Guyanese. I am here to expose the corrupt practices of the AFC and why they should never form a government in Guyana. I joined the AFC in 2009 based on the foundation principle that they are the third force and they will be neutral, no alignment with the PPP or the PNC. It looks very good on paper that we will have a new political party move away from the two established parties. But I was fooled. Like many of you Berbicians and Guyanese, I was fooled. They have an old saying, you have to live with somebody to know them. And I live with the AFC and I get to know them. The AFC does not believe in democracy or anything that is true and honest. For instance, I attended the 2012 annual Congress in Vicelos in February 2012, and I noticed how they rigged the elections. They get all type of people who are not members to come in and vote. People who are not financial members voted at that election. I walked out of that election during the process. I cannot bear to see non-members vote at the election. They put their own cronies in position. Now, I never want any position in AFC. I don't have time to be in position because I'm too busy with my work. But I couldn't bear to see what they did. At that election, they had bogus ballot paper. The people vote this one, voting for that one, and so on. Removed Sixtus Edwards, who was the general secretary, and put in their own crony, David Patterson. Moses Nagamutu and Rajendra Besesar only associates themselves with the AFC during the 1 month before the 2011 elections in November. The AFC constitution says that you must be a financial member for at least 1 year before you can be elected to the executive. And in 2012, Moses Nagamutu, Besesar, they were elected in the executive. Moses Nagamutu was made vice chairman, but in breach of the AFC constitution. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if these people can be so barefaced in rigging their own internal elections, imagine if they get power along with the PNC, because they join the PNC now. What do you think will happen in the future? They will rig all future elections, and the PNC will remain in power for the next 1,000 years because they will continue to rig the elections. The PNC only want to get in there, and they will never come out back. And who's assisting the PNC to get in there? The AFC. Now, many of you recall who voted, many Berbicians, about 11,000 or more Berbicians vote for the AFC. And the AFC fooled said that they will never align with the PPP or PNC. But today, they form a coalition with the PNC to remove the PPP government. What did the AFC want? The big boys in the AFC, people like Nagamutu and Kenraj Ramjatan, Raphael Trotman, they want big position. Notice when they was negotiating with the PNC, this one said he want vice president, that one said minister, this one want this minister, this one want to control office of president. We hear nothing what they will do for the people of Guyana during the negotiations. So there are mostly selfish people who want to get in power. To hell with the ordinary Guyanese, we only need their votes. Now, why is that negotiation going on? The AFC said that it's a secret negotiation. They're right to say secret. The AFC never consulted their members that they will merge with the PNC or join with the PNC. They never hold a meeting of the members or a referendum to get the members' opinion. The leaders go ahead on their own accord and negotiate with the PNC. They negotiate for 12 guaranteed seats, this ministry and that ministry, never consulted the members. Now, all you people who vote for the AFC, including me in the last election, we were tricked. They never consulted us. So how can you, Berbicians and Guyanese people in the whole who voted for the AFC, can trust that party to be in power? I would like to tell you this. They are crookish. They misappropriate millions of dollars without accounting to the donors. I have the accounts here that they present for 2012. 2012 accounts, one sheet, and receipts and payments account. No balance sheet, no schedule of assets, or nothing. And this account they claim $727,000, $727,000 depreciation 1 year, $228,000 next year, $727,600 next year depreciation. Any of you who do accounts or bookkeeping will know that depreciation and amortization, the word that they use, is a non-cash expense. You don't pay out the cash. It's a wear and tear. Like if you have a TV, you buy it today for $300,000, next year it was $200,000, the next year $150,000 because wear and tear. So they say that this money is spent depreciation. Well, when they depreciate, the AFC don't have any assets. They don't own no building, vehicles. just a few computers and some old furniture. So how can they depreciate 727,000? That is false, falsification of accounts. Then they have purchases. Do you remember depreciation of payment is not a cash expense, you don't pay no cash for it. They have purchases, $2,053,339. What? They cover all possible expenses. What they create one in purchases. Purchase what? Purchases is goods that you buy to sell back. I don't know, they have a store. So what is in these purchases? Because they cover everything you can think of. Advertising, printing, rentals, utilities, stationery, all expenses, entertainment, donations. So what is this purchases of 2 million? They don't have an opening balance. This is a receipts and payments. Receipts for the year, payments for the year. So what's the opening balance brought forth from last year? They don't have that. Whether it's cash in hand or an overdraft or what. We don't even know if they have a bank account. Because no bank account specified anywhere here. Because they don't have a balance sheet. So you can see that their accounts are bogus. Ladies and gentlemen, if these people get into government, they will do the same. They will rob the treasury. The treasury will be empty in a few days. And they will produce some bogus accounts again. Because they're trained to do that.
May I interject here, Mr. Prasad?
Go ahead.
After the 2011 elections, we heard that the party owed Catiyus $7 million. Is that $7 million anyway accounted for in the statement?
No. If Catiyus loaned the party $7 million,
yeah,
it's supposed to enter in the receipts part here. No, it is not entered.
Good.
As a loan received. And they should have in the disbursement loan repayment, whether by installment or what.
Good.
Nothing like that here.
Another thing that is quite puzzling is that they had a loan from Catiyus for $7 million. But if you notice, at the end of February 2012, they have declared a surplus of $464,643. Can you shed some light? How can you have a surplus when you owe?
Well, this is not really, this is a receipts and payments account. They said that they received 93,851,000, spent 93,386,000. But that loan is not reflected here. That loan is not reflected here. This whole account is bogus anyhow.
And another thing, you know that the Constitution of the AFC provides that they should have an audited financial statement. By any chance, is that financial statement audited?
No, it's not audited. I see it's a one-page financial statement. Look at it. No balance sheet attached. This is what they give to all the members at the Congress. No balance sheet attached, no auditor's report, no schedule of assets.
Okay.
We don't even know the treasurer, by the way, it's very important. The treasurer of the AFC prepared a statement, Dominic Gaskin. And do you know who is Dominic Gaskin? Dominic Gaskin is David Granger's son-in-law.
Okay.
Dominic Gaskin married to David Granger's daughter.
Okay.
So, now this thing, Dominic Gaskin is not an accountant or bookkeeper, he's a jeweler. Okay. Goldsmith, make gold chain and rings. Yeah.
So if this is the way they're going to present their financial statement, do you think that we can trust these people with billions of dollars to run this country?
Well, that is what I was saying just now. That is what I was saying. How can you trust these people to be in government, handle billions of dollars of taxpayers' money? They will run the country bankrupt. Ghanaians don't know how good they are. And people talk about change of government and change. Now, this is nonsense.
Good.
You know.
Now, here's a party that is crying out about corruption day after day after day. We have been hearing that. As soon as they got into parliament, they are about corruption. Good? Soon after, in 2012, there was this guy, Ramaya. He was claiming $4.5 million, and he wanted us at a meeting to raise funds so that he could get back this $4.5 million, which he claimed that he spent. I heard he said he bought Baigan and Kuras at the market, $4.5 million. Now, what happened is that he did not even have a bill to present. And you know, as a person who knows accounting, that if you're buying stuff to that amount, then you should have had vouchers being signed by the people that you're buying these things from. In terms of accountability, there was no accountability. What happened is that this man so barefaced that he wanted to claim the $4.5 million from the AFC without providing even one single bill.
Well, even an uneducated person who never went to school, if he know he has to claim a refund for money spent, he will keep his bills.
That's right. That's
right?
basic.
He will keep his
Very
bills.
basic.
And Ramaya is claiming to be a doctor or something like that, Dr. Ramaya. A man like him should have kept his bills. He can, you know, I can't go to you and say, I want a refund of $2 million that I lent you last week and there's no paperwork.
That's right.
He should have kept his bills. So how can he claim 4.6 million without bills? It just showed the corruption with the leaders in the
That's right.
AFC.
That's right.
So all of us, me, you, and all the Berbicians who vote for them and everybody in Ghana made a big mistake. And I apologize to the nation for the mistake I made. I'm taking this opportunity to apologize to the Guyanese nation for the mistake I made for campaigning for the AFC and vote for the AFC. Well, as I mentioned just now, old people say, you have to live with somebody to know them. I didn't know these guys. Their program was attractive on paper, and their mouth, the words count for their mouth was good. You can influence anybody, and that's why you got caught, like many of you. But we can correct that. The election coming May the 11th. This year, we will correct the mistakes we made, and don't give the FC any vote. Now, let me tell Berbicians something, and Guyanese as a whole. Nagamutu only left the PPP because he couldn't get a presidential candidacy. They didn't want him to be president, so he left and he jumped to the AFC bandwagon because Ramchatan promised him he'll be vice president. Two fools. I know the AFC could never win an election in Guyana. We just call it the third force. Nagamutu go into the AFC, go with hatred for the PPP. Hatred. And he fooling the Berbicians. Now, how can you trust a man like that? How can you trust a man who abandoned a party he served for nearly 50 years? And now he's joining with PNC. Now, they are not APNU. APNU, the PNC keep changing the name. From PNC to PNCR to PNC1G. It didn't work. They tried APNU. And said they have some small parties in it. Like WPA, an X party, and some other parties we never heard about. So it's really the PNC. Nagamutu left the PPP, joined with the AFC, and now he is in bed with the PNC. Now you people would like to know if Nagamutu and the PNC get into power, what will happen? You had the PNC for 28 years. I don't have to repeat again what they did. Everybody know. It can be worse.
May I interject again? We have had a situation here in Berbice. During all this time that there was this coalition talk, the AFC members in Berbice, executive members, the AFC leaders, they would come to Berbice and they would try to play with semantics, use of words. And they're going to say, oh, it's an alliance, it's not a coalition. We have Samad saying that, and Samad saying that the AFC will go independent to the election, that the AFC has the resource and the capability to have a resounding victory at the elections. We have Ramaya saying the same thing. We have Charandas saying the same thing. We have Mark Ross saying the same thing. We have Ramjatan. We have Nagamutu. All of these guys, you know. And imagine this. while the secret talks were going on, they were here telling the Berbicians that there will never be a coalition between the AFC and APNU. Lo and behold, right, it came out that they are collating. And Ramjatan has moved from the leader or nothing, right, to actually accepting the prime ministerial position. What do you have to say about this?
Well, let me correct you there. I think it's Nagamutu. They will make the prime minister if they win.
Yeah.
Not Ramjatan. Ramjatan said he want Minister of Home Affairs.
Okay.
Home Affairs. Nagamutu will be the prime minister and probably one first vice president. And the AFC got two vice presidents.
Yeah.
They work on their own deal. Anyhow, they fool the people in Berbice during these meetings that they talk about. They fool them. But behind the people back, they negotiated for them own selves. Just to be in power. They don't care who they trample on their way. They don't care about country. They concern about themselves. Power. And with power, they will get probably rape the treasury. Like what they do with the donors with these bogus accounts.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you this. Ramjatan at one time said that joining the PNC is dead meat.
You're right.
He go against his own word. And they signed accord with the PNC. Negotiate with the PNC to share power, to oust the PPP. Their objective is vengeance, hate, just to remove the PPP. Remember, Ramjatan come out from the PPP. Besessar, Nagamutu, Gerard Ramsaru, all them come out from the PPP. I was never a member of the PPP. Never a member. But I will support the PPP for the first time in my life this election. The reason why? This is the most crucial election since 1992. This is a do or die. Because I know if the PNC and the AFC join together, wind power may come in. I saw if the Guyanese people, we have got migration out of this country through backtrack, front track, just like in the old days. Good.
Good. And another thing that has been bothering me is that they're saying that Dr. Jagan wanted a National Patriotic Front government. But what Dr. Jagan actually said was that it must be according to the support base of the parties. Now this coalition here is between a party, a big party, APNU, and a small party who in the last election just mustered around 10% of the votes. Now, coming together, can we call this a National Patriotic Front government when the majority of the people behind the PPP will be disenfranchised by this coalition? Can we call it a National Patriotic Front government?
No, it's not a National Patriotic Front coalition. You can't say government. They haven't won government as yet. They are still in the opposition. They're hoping to win government. It's not National Patriotic. The members of the AFC were not consulted. The members of the AFC never approved this coalition. Majority of the members.
Okay.
I'm one. I hate this coalition. Good. The same thing with APNU. APNU members, the grassroots members or the white membership of APNU, PNC then, were never consulted to. These decisions were made by a few big boys in an air-conditioned room. What they must share. 60% for you, 40% for me. You will get vice president, minister for you, minister for you. They're sharing out portfolio in that room.
Right.
And the members, the grassroots people who voted for them never were consulted.
Okay.
So this coalition mightn't work.
Another question for you. They've been saying that the Prime Minister now will have additional power. When we look at this in light of the constitution of this country, do you believe that that will be possible when you need 2/3 to change the constitution? 2/3 majority in parliament?
As I said, these guys never look at the constitution of Guyana before they go into this coalition. They only concern themselves. But let me tell you this. They have an old saying, a leopard never changes its spots. Or you can say it the next way, history always repeats itself. The PNC joined with the UF in 1964 to throw out the PPP government. That time we had a different constitution. What happened after that? The PNC kicked the UF out in 1966 and Barnum started to rig all elections from 1968 onwards. Take my word, the APNU is not so stupid to give away all these things to the AFC. If they do win, I doubt whether they will win. If they do win, they will kick the AFC out because they have to satisfy the majority of the APNU members, the big boys and the people on the road, the mass-based support. They will kick the AFC out because our constitution say that the president have enormous power. Too much power. He can do what he want. Barnum Constitution, which is still valid up to today. So I have a strong feelings. People in Guyana, Berbicians, take my word, they will kick the AFC out. Why do you think they give the AFC? You think APNU stupid? APNU have 26 seats in parliament now. The AFC only have, how much, 7. What the big gap? So APNU is not stupid for hand them everything on a platter like that. But APNU is using them.
I know.
Using them to be in government.
So,
and they're too stupid, they can't see that. Right. They, Prime Minister Full Nagamutu I, Vice President Fuli I, Ramjatan want Minister work, Minister of Home Affairs, they don't say what they will get. That full am I.
So the prenuptial agreement will never work even if they win, which is impossible.
Not with the PNC, man. Not with the PNC.
All right. I will now move on to Mr. Sixtus Edwards, who was a former General Secretary of the AFC, a man who since 2005 worked assiduously to build this party, the AFC, from scratch. Everything he was part of, the making of the constitution, the policies and everything that you can think about that got this party working. And he has resigned a few weeks ago, and he is here to share his reasons why he resigned from the party. And it has to do a lot, let me warn you, with our heading. It's exposing AFC's deception and corruption. So it's about deception and corruption. And I will hand you over now to Mr. Edwards.
All right, good night, Berbicians. Thank you for having me in your living rooms and your kitchen, wherever you are. My supporters in Berbice and also the general membership in Berbice. I know you would like to know why I resigned from the AFC. Initially, I had said that I resigned from the AFC for personal reasons. After this happened, I was expecting that someone in authority within the party would have asked or to find out the reason why I resigned. But no one came to me or no one asked. I was reading on iNews a couple of nights ago, and I saw where the David Patterson, which is the General Secretary, is saying that I resigned and they accepted it, and where I built the party from scratch, and they wish me well. But I cannot believe I was at this party for the past 10 years, I think, since we start off. I play a meaningful role in that area. And yet, the administration, the leaders, not even the leader, would have called or sent a note and say, well, I acknowledge you sending your resignation. So it left me very embarrassing. Now, I left the PNC and I joined the AFC since the inception, since it was born. I was impressed with the policies and also the Constitution. Apart from the fact that they provide an alternative to the PNC and the PPP. I spent a lot of time building this party. But after a few years, I realized that many of the promises made at launching of the party were not being addressed. And that party was being developed and the party was not developing according to the Constitution, which would have provided devolution of power to regions and groups. In fact, no serious effort was made to establish groups within the party and representatives from regional committees. Consequently, delegates to biennial congresses had to be handpicked, and in most instances was selected based on support of various leadership positions, from the leadership positions. On many occasions, I exhibit some strong oppositions to the way the party is being run and the finances, how it is managed. I received strong opposition from the leader of the party, which is Comrade Ramjutan, Raphael Tropman, and many others within the party. Mr. Tropman, for various reasons, left the PNC, and he was the co-founder of the AFC. He was free to choose which organization he wanted. Like Mr. Tropman, I have decided to leave the AFC and to support any other political party of my choice. And therefore, Mr. Tropman has no moral right to lecture to me on which party I should support. It is interesting to note that the AFC issued a statement which contained glowing tributes about my support and commitment to the AFC. It is therefore very unbecoming that Mr. Tropman to make disparaging remarks in a public forum about me based on absolute no evidence. I wish that Mr. Tropman spend more time in building a tottering party. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Edwards.
Can I say something? You mentioned Trotman.
Okay.
Now let me talk about this guy Trotman. Trotman is a PNC guy up to this day. He was one of the lead negotiator behind the scene to have this coalition. Now, Trotman is a man who elect me. Trotman going on the internet now and telling news people, criticizing me, criticizing my character, making false statement about my character. And he was the one who elected me to be a candidate in the 2011 elections. All the time I wasn't a bad guy, but from last week since I resigned on the 19th of February 2015, I suddenly become a bad guy in Trotman eyes.
Well, all of us, we can empathize with you because we are suffering from the same fate. Since 2012, when I started to write and oppose what the AFC was doing, I was called a lot of things, including a rogue counselor, an outcast, and stuff like that.
So we don't have freedom of choice
That's
then?
right, we don't. Mr. Edwards,
Yeah.
can you recall in 2012, I moved a motion with regards to accountability.
Correct.
And that motion was supported unanimously by everyone there, including Moses Nagamutu,
Mutu.
right? Camarade Ramdatan, Kati Hughes,
Correct.
Nigel Hughes. Everyone agreed that every group, regional group, should have a bank account.
Correct.
And that all monies should go into that bank account. And it should only be expended based on authorization by the finance committee, and then you can actually disburse money from the bank account, right? You have to have signatories to the bank account, and it has to have the authority of the finance committee. Up to date, can you shed some light? Have they ever done that? Have they implemented
The
that?
situation have not changed. It still remains the same.
So there-
Even though I
yeah.
ask for the regions to have greater autonomy and to be able to control whatever limited resources they have, all the time it went for on the negative base.
Good. And another thing, in terms of cronyism, right? They have been talking about the PNC, the PPP, exercising cronyism. If I could recall, there was a problem at WIM with Ramaya when he tried to install his female friend as a secretary there. And when it was objected to, he made a big fuss about it. Remember, there was an inquiry, and myself and Donna Matu, we went to that inquiry in Georgetown, Trotman's chamber, and it was found that we were telling the truth.
I can remember that instance because I think I was the one who dissolved that election, and I said it was another election had to be called,
Right.
and I presided the next election.
Good.
I can remember.
Can you recall myself and Donna Matu were not there?
Correctly.
Good. And the reason why we were not there is because Ramaya deliberately did not invite us to the meeting, so he wanted to rig whatever was going on and to install his own man as a chairman there.
That was
And
correct.
to put all the office bearers, people who he could manipulate. He didn't want me or Dana Matu there anymore.
That was correct, and I think I was the man who intervened and dissolved that, asked that this election be called again because I dissolved it.
Good. Another thing,
Because it was unconstitutional.
Right, after you held the inquiry, Mr. Ramjatan issued a press statement that the whole fiasco was about miscommunication and misunderstanding. Do you agree with that?
No, I did not.
Good.
Because I don't think that was my recommendation,
Good.
as a matter of fact.
You did not recommend that it was miscommunication and misunderstanding.
No, I did not.
But here is the leader going to the public, trying to deceive them and tell them something what you did not recommend.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
From my
I
understanding,
think my if I recall, I think a copy of that, my recommendation is still available in my possession.
good,
So obviously, if anyone needs it, they can have it.
good. And what else in terms of cronyism? I could recall that after the 2006 elections, one of Trotman's lady friend got a position as member of parliament, and then later on, we find that this guy David Patterson became the general secretary, who is also a relative to Trotman. It seems to me like everybody in the higher echelon of the AFC are related, are friends, right? And that's the way I see it.
Well, not directly. I wouldn't have substantial evidence to support it. But you hear that every single day.
Yeah.
We hear that every single day.
Well, they have Cathy Hughes, Nigel Hughes, husband and wife now.
Good,
Mr. and Mrs. Poonalal.
good. You have Trotman, right? You have
David Patterson.
David Patterson. They are relatives. You have this guy. What's his name? The next relationship you have Dominic Gaskin, and he's related to Granger. So what we can find here is that, and looking at the scenario where Trotman is now the campaign man, he and Harman, they are spearheading the campaign for the AFC APNU coalition, right? Doesn't it seem odd that the PNC people who came across from the PNC, that they are so actively involved together with the PNC? These are former members. Even in Berbice here, out of 7 councillors that were elected, we have 5 who are former PNC members. If I may conclude, I might say that the AFC has been hijacked by the PNC.
You see, after the 2011 elections, a lot of people left the AFC, the supporters. They get fed up with them because of the corruption and so on. So the AFC know they will be knocked out in the next election, but barely get about 3 seats. So they see a good opportunity here to join forces with the PNC in order to form a government. On their own, they can never form a government. They can never win an election. The PPP want nothing to do with them. So the opportunity here is with the PNC. Moses Nagamutu said, it's all in the papers and TV news, that he will deliver 11% of the Indian votes to the coalition. Berbicians and Guyanese of Indian origin. This is no race talk. It's Moses Nagamutu quoted from. Moses Nagamutu said he will deliver 11% of the Indians to the PNC AFC coalition. Now don't tell me you are so stupid to go and vote for a man like Moses Nagamutu. He's putting you for sale. He wants to sell out 11% of the Indians. Don't tell me those 11% of the Indians are so foolish they cannot think for themselves.
The other thing, the other one I look at, I heard Raphael using the word compromise.
He said I was compromised.
Compromise a couple of days ago, and he knows one person is compromise. I want to send that message to Trotman. If we have to look at compromisation, how to compromise, he must be the first person. He must be the first person to talk about compromising. Because he has compromised in the PNC, he compromised in Parliament, he compromised all around. So I cannot understand why he says so. He's also saying that one Sixtus gone and 100 will come. Yeah. Where they coming from? The PNC or where?
Another thing, Mr. Edwards, coming to Trotman, isn't he supposed to be impartial?
Definitely.
Good. How can we say that he's impartial when every Monday he'll be having meetings with APNU Member of Parliament and AFC Member of Parliament on the way to go forward the next day?
Well, you see,
how is that impartial?
That couldn't be impartial. I thought, as a speaker, right, you have to be partial. The reason why you have to look at it, when I really studied and look back at his life, I think I personally would say that he would have been the worst speaker in the entire Caribbean or probably the world, right? You have to be supportive of anything that is good, whether it be the opposition or the ruling party.
Another thing I'm surprised is that this is the same Trotman who was actually selected by the opposition, PNC, Granger, right? Because they said clearly that they cannot trust Nagamutu. Nagamutu should not be trusted.
That's correct.
Now here is a man who was not given the speakership because he cannot be trusted by Granger, but now he is giving a prime ministerial position, candidacy, right? Now, how is that How can we reconcile that? You were not trusted before, now you're trusted. Don't you find that strange?
I personally find it strange because when you look at it in that area, it's sending a message to me by telling me that they just want to hijack power.
That's right.
And that's the only thing they want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and I know personally that Nagamudo can't bring any votes in Region
right.
6.
And what is amazing, and the conclusion is very clear, is that until now, Nagamutu is not being trusted because they know for a fact that if they should ever win an election in this country, Nagamutu and Ramjatan will be kicked out of the coalition.
That's
Correct.
right.
Because
Just like what they did to
and
Peter
when you look at it,
Yeah.
66.
Kemraj was forced to that coalition.
Yeah.
Kemraj was forced in that direction.
Yeah.
And the architect behind that was Raphael.
Yeah. Well, that is coming back to what I have said, is that the PNC has hijacked the AFC. And these guys, because of their vengeance, their appetite for vengeance, they are blinded to what is taking place.
Well, you heard what Ramjadan said. He will jail a lot of PPP people. And I heard from PNC people, they will knock off all those Indians in the public service, and I don't know when put their party supporters. So you can see the chaos will happen in this country if this government only change. And I hope Berbicians understand that.
Well, what will happen as well is that these people, the first thing they plan to do is actually to close Gaisuku. Because week after week they have been on their program, Alliance on the Move, and they have been making statements to that effect.
They go in and fool the poor sugar workers, them, and the Guyanese people talk about PPP have corruption, all the ministers are corrupt. Now, if you have evidence that these people are corrupt, bring the evidence and get them charged. And if they cannot be charged by the police, if you say the PPP control police, bring private criminal charges.
That's right.
The law allows us to bring private criminal charges.
And you could
bring the evidence.
Right. You could recall there was a debate, a corruption debate on the NCN. Did these guys, in fact, PNC walk out because they can't talk about corruption? These AFC presenters, did they present an iota of evidence about corruption in this country?
Never.
No. What Ramjatan spoke was about the Marriott Hotel, and they should have used the money to build the Damara Bridge. That's corruption to him. Good? That's all they were saying. And the analyst, Christopher Ram, he walked with a file and gave it to Al Crichton and said, this is the file on corruption. He never uttered a word or provided any evidence about corruption.
And the Berbicians have to be careful with these foot soldiers of the AFC who walking around spreading AFC propaganda. Because Shotman and Ramjatan promised them that when they get in power, they get big work.
Yeah.
So they're hoping for that.
Well, there is one right now that's going around holding bottom house meeting with the hope that he's going to be the next chairman for Region 6.
Well, they're getting a lot of promises, so they're going around trying to convince the Berbicians to vote for AFC.
That's right.
But if the Berbicians, they have nothing in the AFC, it's PNC now. It's one
That's
party.
right, that's right.
One party, PNC. AFC joined them. AFC is a minuscule party.
I will tell you that for any coalition, this coalition or what AFC, PNU coalition or whatever it is, they have to get at least 12% votes from the Indo-Guyanese. And I cannot see how AFC will be able to bring that.
Well, Nagamutu said he
Cannot
will
bring
deliver
that.
11%. I hope the
can't
Berbician
bring
and Indians hear that. Nagamutu said he
Right.
deliver 11% to the PNC.
Good. Another thing that they have been peddling in Berbice, they are saying that the PPP is against black people. But at no one time have I ever heard any PPP leader saying that they don't want a black man to run this country. In fact, all that they have been saying, and I have been saying, is that we don't want the PNC to run this
That's
country
right.
again.
Half of the PPP cabinet are black people.
That's right.
And black people hold prominent positions throughout the country.
That's right. And now we have our prime ministerial candidate, Mrs. Harper, a very reputable, honest,
And decent lady.
decent woman.
Correct.
Right? So I don't know why they are spilling this garbage in Berbice here, right? Trying to incite hatred among the races, that the PPP is a racist party. From evidence given, the party is a multiracial party.
That's right.
Okay? So we have a situation in wrapping up. I want to ask you, Mr. Prasad, if you have any final word of advice, anything you want to say to the Berbicians?
Well, I hope they don't make the mistake of voting for AFC, the coalition. They will regret it for the rest of their life. Vote for the PPPC. We don't want change. Country running good. We want change for the worse. These people cannot run their own party. They can run a country. And I hope that they don't listen to people like Moses Nagamutu, Kenrad Shamchitan, and the foot soldiers of the AFC. Just chase them when they come by you. Because they want to put the PNC in power. And I don't have to tell Berbicians the PNC getting what they will do to this country. So I hope they vote wisely on May the 11th, 2015, and vote for the COP. Look for the COP and vote for the COP.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards?
What I will actually tell all Berbicians that the will must go on. You must allow, you can see what the government is doing. You know what the PNC without the AFC was doing long before now. Let the wheel of development continues and vote strongly for the PPP.
Good. And finally, I would like to add a final statement, is that when we talk about corruption under the PNC, we never need evidence to support that. You know why? Because corruption was so manifest in our everyday lives, right? We were starved, food was criminalized, people were jailed for food, houses were falling down, roads were in disrepair, 13 hours blackout, we couldn't afford chicken, to buy a pound of chicken. The wage in 1991 was $65 a day. That was the minimum wage, $65 per day. So there are so many things that have manifested itself during the PNC era. And there is nothing like a change in the PNC. The old PNC is back. Granger was with the PNC. Trotman, PNC. We have Harman, PNC. We have Felix, PNC. We have Corbyn coming in now for the campaign, right? And you know what Corbyn contributed during the Wismar massacre. Good? So we have all these people, and it's the old PNC coming home to roost. So be careful and vote wisely on May 11th, and you have only one party that is capable to handle and govern this country, and let social and economic development continue. Thank you.